Might as well, right? Miles. How we doing, Papa Chris? I'm good. It's good to see you. Nick, it's good to see you. Good to see you, Nick. I got some. Okay, okay. I love it. I love it. Right now.
The best one from Conway that I know that
Players are approaching.
you ready?
Yeah, I'm down.
You've been in these big games before. How much does that experience kind of keep adding and helping each time?
I mean, it's just fun, don't look at it as an experience. I look at it as a blessing, and an opportunity just to go out there with my brothers again. But, yeah, you can't take none of these moments for granted. 100 teams that wish they were in this position to be playing. So you just got to make the most of it and not take it for granted.
Y'all haven't been underdogs very often in your career the last couple of years here. Like, do you get to play that chip this week? Like, how do you have to go into this game?
I mean, the way we always go about it, Coach Sark always tells us to be enamored with us. So no matter if people are rooting for us, people are not, at the end of the day, we just got to play our game. And when we play our best game, we're a dominant team. So.
After watching some of the film, what's impressed you about this Ohio State wide receiving core?
I mean, the whole receiver core, they're packed with a veteran quarterback that can get them the ball. They can get the ball in space on swing passes and things like that. A lot of deep shots and things like that, play actions. But, I mean, it's a fantastic offense they have going. So for our job, just to do our job and make sure we're dialed in our keys and doing our responsibility. And nobody has to be the hero. Just do your job, and ultimately that would be a ton of success.
Is there something different because they're so explosive that you guys have to do defensively?
No, sir. Just dialing in and make sure we're executing PK's plan and not getting out of sort or trying to do too much. So just doing our job.
What does it mean to get to play this semifinal in your home state? To get the opportunity to come back to AT&T Stadium again and play here again?
I mean, again, it's a blessing. All these are a blessing. You can't take these for granted. Most people don't get opportunities to still be playing. And then to still be playing, I mean, down the road from us, that's another blessing. So, a lot of our fans can be here. Easy way for our parents to travel and things like that, especially my parents. So, that's nice. But, yeah.
When you see Jeremiah Smith, have you studied him enough to basically be able to give an idea of what's special about him?
Yeah, he does a lot of special things. He's a big receiver, but he attacks the ball. He has good strong hands, good route running. He's a double move guy and things like that. So all those are taking place in my head on the process. But football it's 11 people. We have a D-line, tremendous D-line that's going to put pressure on the quarterback. So that'll help up and mess up his timing and things like that. So it's a lot of things that are going into a football game. But the opportunity is going to be amazing in front of us.
Yeah, I was going to say they move him around a lot too, try to get.
Yeah, he outside. He goes outside in the slot and things like that. So it'll be an amazing opportunity for our guys and for me to go against him. So.
Yeah, do you think you'll go against him most of the time, no matter what they do? I know you won't give me away your secret, but
yeah,
do you see a kind of an all-day affair with them, so to speak?
I mean, not sure. I mean, just like he gets moved around, I get moved around a lot too. So he plays the slot outside. I play slot outside. So it could be various of different times we see each other.
Is there any moment about Gavin Holmes, about his impact? It feel like in the big games this year, he's had an impact, whether it be in limited snaps or not. Mm-hmm. Just talk about confidence in him and the role that he's kind of grown into this year.
I mean, every time Gavin comes in, he produces. I tell him just to make the most of his opportunities. That's what he continues to do. Every time he goes in, you see growth from him, and that's the type of player he is. And then he's another player that we need on special teams. He makes big time plays for us on special teams and things like that. But the growth of Gavin Holmes has been big for us.
Is there any moment or game as this gets tougher later in the year that you guys can draw back on and say, like, all right, you guys got through this, you can kind of get through anything?
Just being enamored with us. Just the adversity that we faced through the beginning of the season. And then losing the SEC championship, but then dialing back and going back to Atlanta. So we've been through a lot of ups and downs, but the main thing is just to be enamored with us and always focus on us and what the coaches have planned for us. I think things kind of tend to get tensed or out of sort when you try to do your own thing or you just try to do too much. So just being enamored with Coach Sark and Coach PK has a plan for the defense, and I think ultimately that will be what's the best for us.
As you study Ohio State, what is the word you would use to describe their offense, like a one word? What would it be?
Knowing what they have at receiver, is there extra pressure on your defense to maybe defend and do their job?
There's no more extra pressure, but yeah, every week it starts with stopping the run. We got to do a great job leveraging blocks, getting off blocks, having good gap integrity and tackle. And then from there, on the first and second downs, being able to transition from the run mentality, reacting and getting out of our stances, and if we can do a good job against the run, get them in the third and longer situations. That's more of a benefit to us for sure. But I wouldn't say there's anything every game starts to stop in the run and getting after quarterbacks, and it's the same with this game. And it's just they're doing it against really good players.
Could you talk about what you like about Shaw, the D lineman y'all just signed from North Carolina?
Big athletic guy. I think he's got a lot of good upside. Talking to some of our coaches, talking to some guys that they know. This guy's got a lot of room for growth and development. But he's a really good head on his shoulders, good family.
Coach, you always sported that hat.
Every now and then, I thought me and Coach Flood thought at the Cotton Bowl in Texas we would go with the flavor.
Sure enough. Coach, what's some of the challenges this Ohio State offense presents?
It starts with wide receivers are really good. 4's outstanding, 2's outstanding, 17's a really big dynamic guy. They got good backs. The style of offense, the schemes that Coach Kelly uses are challenging because he has so many different ways to run the ball. So it's going to be a game of adjustments as the game goes on. It's all four teams left, and it's a great opportunity, and we're excited about it. And there's nothing better than playing against the best.
What about your offensive line? Coming from the Big Ten, is that slightly different or the same?
They're big and they're athletic. Played a lot of good O-lines this year, and they're another one.
How are the guys recovering? Because you got some dudes playing 100 snaps.
Yeah, it was awesome. Early on, we had a couple days not doing much other than recovery and some meetings. Practice has been awesome. We're ready to roll.
Ohio State's doing something a little unorthodox on the offensive line, kind of shuffling 3 guards through the 2 guard positions. Does that make it more challenging because you have to prepare for more stuff? Does that make it easier because it's a little bit of an indication on what they might be trying to do?
I mean, what they do is what they do. Their hands can forfeit injuries, but nothing has changed. They still, run their zone schemes, run their gap schemes, and done a good job pass protecting. So, no, not really.
Coach, you went up against Will Howard before?
Yeah, we played the last 2 years.
Anything you spotted slightly differently with this game right
now?
No,
nothing different. Big guy, good arm, can extend plays when need be, and he's really good player. Does a nice job.
Coach, I know you're obviously focused on this game, but you do have 2 transfers that have been able to practice to you. This is like week 2 of those guys, Justice Terry.
I know, let's go there.
Yeah, it's been a great week of practice. Looks like we're going to be in a good spot.
I know you guys always maintain a level of your students. So the kids are telling you that you're underdogs for the first time in a while. Has it came you up just a little bit more?
I mean, we don't pay any attention to that as a program. Again, we just rely on what the coaches are telling us, Coach Sarger's telling us, and we rely on our prep. That's where we get our confidence from.
When you're comfortable in that stadium.
Yeah, I mean, I've played in it a couple of times dating back to high school, so I really do enjoy playing there. Obviously, it's close to where I'm from, so the Dallas there is just a little different. It's nice.
Quinn, how can you?
I don't even know. I think I've lost. I lost one guy.
But the other day you talked about how excited you were to be with some guys like Jack Sawyer and excited to play with. Does it feel real that you're actually here now? Just talk about what that's going to mean to you.
Yeah, no, it's wild. I don't think it's really going to feel real until we get on that field. But I'm excited to get to see that.
Quinn, when you think back to those 2 games, 2020, walking off that field with a loss for Southlake, and then your great performance in 23 in the 12 title game, what do you remember about just the emotions and the difference in that building?
Yeah, like you said, it's just completely 2 different outcomes of the game. Winning's a whole lot nicer, especially in the Big 12 championship game. But going back to it again, I enjoy playing in the stadium for sure.
When you got this point, semifinals last year, you had to win a couple extra games over to get there this year. How does it feel when you've got a team stacked up?
I feel like we're in a good spot. You know, I like the 12-team playoff, and you know, I forget how many weeks we had off for the 4-man playoff. We had like 2.5, or 3, or something like that. But you know, it's nice to still be playing football and keep that momentum going.
I mean, do you think it was inevitable that one of these days you were going to play Ohio State, play against Ohio State? You understand what I'm saying? I mean, it's kind of ironic, right?
Yeah, it is. Full circle moment for sure. So, you know, excited to get to see those guys and get to be up against them.
What's the best thing you picked up the 4 months you were there that kind of still sticks with you?
Well, I think, you know, being able to watch how, you know, CJ was in front of me, so being able to watch how CJ and Coach Day and those guys prepared at a high level for the college games. And, I mean, that was my first time getting, you know, implemented into college football. So
You said you felt that you belonged there. Can you just talk about how special? I mean, I know it was for a short period of time, but how special that culture was for you?
yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, they all welcomed me with open arms. And, you know, it was weird for me just because, you know, I skipped my senior year and, you know, I'm going in the middle of fall camp, and you know, it's just a weird dynamic for somebody to do that. You know, they all welcomed me, and you know, everybody was friendly. So, you know, I felt they all clicked pretty early, and you know, I'm glad I got to do it.
Playing short trip here, does it feel like a home game? I think it's going to feel like a home game.
Yeah, I mean,
They're a lot like us in this respect. They are a veteran group, 4th and 5th year players. They lean heavily on their starters. They're strong, they're athletic, they really understand the scheme. You know, a lot of things hopefully, you know, over the course of a year, people think about us. I absolutely think about them. I got a lot of respect for them. So, again, winning the line of scrimmage, you know, it's going to be critical in this game.
Is it easier to get the guys' attention playing against a helmet like Ohio State, a program like this, or has this been a group that's been pretty locked in all season?
No, I think they've been pretty locked in. I think especially at this point, you get to the playoffs, it's elimination football. So I don't think you need. Certainly, Ohio State is a great opponent, but again, regardless of who anybody's playing at this time of year, the players are going to be focused.
How important is that for a program to be able to look at week 2 the same as week 8, the same as week 4, treat them the same?
It's what all the great teams do. It really is. There's a rhythm to the game week that I think when you know, we've been here 4 years now, so it took a little time for us to establish that, and we felt like over the last 2 years we've been able to recapture that every week. Where hey, all right, now we got to start the process over again. You don't get anything in advance for whatever you did last week. So I think there's definitely a rhythm to it, and I think, you know, having a mature team and having an experienced team, I think it definitely helps.
Coach, you were in the Big Ten. You know about these offensive lines and defensive lines. Anything different that you try to tell this team about something coming out of the Big Ten?
Not necessarily. I don't think so. I think, you know, coming here from Alabama, we played Ohio State in the national championship game that year, and they had very good players, just like they do now. Very good defensive line. They have a good defense that year. I think, again, if you want to win at the end of the year, and now for us it's a 4-game playoff. For some teams it was a 3. But if you want to win at that time of the season, you can't do that if you're not winning up front. So Ohio State's winning up front. That's why they're winning, and I think it's the same for us. So we need to play really good football against a really good team.
After the Clemson game, Sark was talking about how you like to cross-train your offensive linemen, which has obviously been like key with so many injuries this year. How, is it as simple as the guys are just playing different positions in practice, or how do you do that?
It's as simple as that. To some degree it is. You have to, but I think the key is to find the right times to get them the reps and make sure that. So for somebody like Hayden Conner, he's our starting left guard. So I got to make sure, first and foremost, he gets enough reps there to play really well. And then how much does he really need so that if he goes in at center, which may or may not happen, but he needs to be ready if it does happen, that he will be ready. So we did some stuff in the offseason. So I took a week in the spring, and Hayden just played center. And then I took a week in training camp. Training camp's 4 weeks. It's 1 week, and he just played center. So I think that gave him a really good baseline for how to do it. with a guy like Trevor Gooseby, it's really just a matter of just keep flipping him left and right and giving him opportunities.
How hard is that for them to just like remember I'm playing this position now? This is what I have to do.
I don't
Is
think
it
it's
not that hard?
I don't think it's that. Well, I don't think knowing which position they're at is very hard. I think getting comfortable with the techniques, whether you're playing left side or right side, that takes a little bit of time. So you wouldn't want to just do it. You want to give the guy enough practice reps so they can be comfortable doing both.
Coach, your team played pretty well blocking for your quarterback, except a couple of games against Georgia. What were some of those things in Georgia that you're hoping doesn't happen this game?
Again, I don't look at it like that. And I'm not trying to – the question's a fair question. I understand why you would ask that. But I don't see the game that way. To me, it's, okay, what does Ohio State do? And how can we be really effective against them? Because they've got different players. They've got a different scheme. So no different than, Coach Knowles isn't going to look at what Coach Smart did and say, all right, we're going to change our defense so we can do what they did because they played well against us. That's not really how it works. He's got a really good defense that he believes in. So for us, it's going to be a matter of, hey, we got to make sure we're ready for what they do. When they run their third down blitzes, we got to make sure that we ID them correctly, that we switch the games. They do a great job with their pick stunts, with their line stunts. Those are all things that are going to present challenges in this game for us.
How much reason behind, when you put Cole in, when you put DJ in, timing, that type of thing? Because it seems like he was on the field late against Arizona State, and it's just a strange time to make that switch. So what's kind of the?
If I told you, I'd have to kill you.
Really?
No, I don't like it. No, somebody asked me this a couple minutes ago. No, it's really more of a feel thing for me, and the important thing for me is that they're both in the rhythm of the game. So I generally try to make sure Cole gets in the first half. Excuse me, so that he's ready to go at whatever point or however that combination of guys end up playing. And Cole ended up playing through the fourth quarter, and then DJ came back in overtime and played the overtime. So it's really more of a feel thing for me. But the important thing for me is that they're both in the flow of the game. So if something happens in the middle, they're both ready to play.
Coach, how far did you able to maybe identify what's happened to this offense in the third quarter over the past few games? It's just, that quarter just seems to be uncharacteristics about the other quarters that you guys played.
Yeah, ultimately it's about execution. It's not about what quarter it happens in for us. I don't think it's like, to me it's not something that we're like overly focused on from, hey, we need to make sure that we get the third quarter right. Like that's, I don't know if the players look at it like that. We make adjustments at halftime like everybody makes adjustments at halftime. And we want to play really well when we come out for the second half. But it's really more about attacking the details of the plays that gets called, not thinking of it as the third quarter. We're not thinking of it as the third quarter. We really need to be thinking of it as, all right, here's the first play of the second half. Let's make sure we execute this play. Here's what they did in the first half. Here's our adjustments. Let's make sure we execute that play. And then continuing that through the third.
Because they're scoring so many points, you look at games like this, it's not really a field goal game. We're going to have to score X number of points. Do you approach it like that a little bit?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think every game kind of takes on a life of itself. And, we've played some games that have been high scoring, and they've had a couple too that have been like that, and some others that haven't been maybe low scoring games. Those are decisions that Sark makes kind of in the flow of the game. We don't go into it saying it's going to be any kind of game.
Yeah. Coach, how far back do you look at a team like in this moment, like Ohio State? Because they had kind of a renaissance defensively after the first Oregon game. So what do you see that's maybe different from earlier in the year? Or maybe you don't look like that far, but what do you see that stands out about them at this point defensively?
No, we look at all the games. I think, the things that stand out to me is how much of a veteran team they have, first and foremost. And then second of all, how physical they are in their front seven. They've got fourth and fifth year players up front that are really, really good players, high level players, guys that are going to play in the NFL. They've got a middle linebacker who's as good as anybody we've faced this year, a kid from St. Peter's in New Jersey. I'm pretty familiar with that school.
Oh, yeah.
I've had a couple good players myself in that school. So, that's what jumps out. And obviously Coach Knowles does a great job. They tackle really well. They do the fundamentals really well. So we got to make sure we do the fundamentals really well.
Is there something that sticks out about a Jim Knowles defense? You understand what I'm saying? I would think you even look into that, right?
Yeah, physicality and aggressiveness. That's what I think that's, again, I don't know how he would say it, but that's what it looks like to me on film for sure.
And going back to that linebacker, Cody Simon, number 0, what jumps out about the way he plays?
Well, he's relentless to the ball. And when he gets a chance to get you on the ground, he gets you on the ground. He doesn't miss very many tackles.
Coach, as the offensive coordinator, I do have to ask you, Bert Auburn has struggled, obviously, over the last several weeks. How do you guys approach that? And as far as him, and does that affect you guys from play calling as far as those decisions to go for field goals?
I think that's really Sark's decision. As the head coach, he's got to make those decisions. Third to fourth down, those are decisions that only a head coach can make. It doesn't affect how we game plan. It doesn't affect how we feel. We've got a lot of confidence in Bert. Bert's also made a lot of kicks in school for us too. So, again, we would like to have made those last week. We didn't make them. This is a new week. So, I know his focus has been on getting better, but again, ultimately the decisions about, do you go for it, do you not go for it? Those are always head coach's decisions. And again, a little bit of that is the flow of the game.
When does he communicate that to you? Does he, at the start of the drive, sometimes tell you, hey, you got 4 downs to work with if we get past X yard line? Or is that you've got 4 downs to work with all game? And how does that change your sort of decision making?
I think as a staff, we have a pretty good idea of the parts of the field where we're going to do those things. But he certainly has the liberty to interject and do it anytime he wants as the head coach.
What kind of growth have you seen out of Caleb Downs, especially the last couple of games out of him?
Yeah, it's really unique how they use him. They put him in a lot of different positions, whether it's at safety, whether it's at nickel, they put him in the box. He's a very, very versatile player, an excellent coverage player, and again, an excellent tackler. They have certain things they do on defense to try to funnel the ball to him as the primary tackler. So he's impressive in terms of how many different ways they use him and how he's able to excel in all of them.
What is something you're most proud of with this offensive line group?
Well, I will tell you, I'm proud of the connection that they have to each other. I think if you had all these guys sitting at a table and you had a chance to be with all of them at the same time, you'd see them kidding each other, joking around with each other. They really enjoy being around each other, and that's unique. I've had a couple of groups like that in my career. This is certainly one of them. They've really bought in to what I want them to do. So as a coach, I appreciate that. I tell people, it's one thing, you get to this point in your career, and I've been fortunate to coach a fair amount of guys that have played in the NFL, a fair amount of guys that have been first-round picks. And that's really, really great experience for me, but it only happens because those players have bought into what I do. It's not a one-way transaction. It's got to go both ways. And this group has really bought into it, and they've bought into the standards that we have, and they're seeing the results on the field. And I think that's great for them and hopefully great for the group that comes after them.
Coach, kind of along those lines.
My grandfather?
But the throw itself right on the money. You understand what I'm saying? You've got to be all in there.
Yeah, we practiced it during the week. It wasn't anything new.
Jake said prior to that protection, he saw the same thing, was about to turn around and tell you it. But you had already, kind of made the call. How often is it where Jake himself or Hayden or someone up front turns around and says, all right, you've got this, this, and this. We got to, kind of make that adjustment on the fly?
Yeah, I think Jake does a great job of seeing all what's coming, and it makes my job a whole lot easier whenever you got a veteran center like Jake to be able to see all the stuff that's going on in the back end. Helps me out for sure.
What do you sense as a leader, just the excitement of the group for the opportunity in front of you?
Yeah, being in the CFP, this is the semifinal game, so it's definitely very special. We're all going to remember this for the rest of our lives. Being able to play the Cotton Bowl, against Ohio State, and these are just lifelong memories that we're experiencing.
How much does the fact that you guys have been here before, you've been in a CFP semifinal, how much does that give you, just some confidence and calm going into this matchup?
Yeah, no, it definitely helps because, you can't teach and you can't really coach experience. So for those guys that were in the locker room against Washington, and, we understand, what the feeling is going to be. And I think that will allow us to have, a level of calmness within us.
What do you remember about the feeling after that Washington game?
It wasn't very fun, that's for sure. But I knew this is exactly where we wanted to be. We wanted to be right back here where we are right now. I was going to do anything it took to get us back right here. I know all the leaders on that team did the same exact thing.
So how, gratifying is it that you were able to accomplish that?
It's definitely a good feeling, but it just feels like we're far from my final goal.
You've been in this spot for years. Are you tired of it at all?
I don't really pay attention to it, so I couldn't I mean, when I was younger, maybe a little bit more, but as I've grown, I've come to fully understand that. I guess relying on what other people think of me won't get me anywhere, and it's not a healthy way to go about life. And I think my relationship with Jesus has helped me really fully understand that that's my reality. It doesn't matter what other people are saying about me. God has made me who I am. And that's the reality of the whole entire situation for me in my life.
When did you come to that realization?
Fully? Last year. Because not my first year when I was here, but the first year we went to the CFP. I feel like that entire year and that off season was a big growing moment for me, and kind of switching in my life to where I think I fully opened up my heart to what Jesus and God were telling me instead of relying on my own understanding. But I just wanted to fully give myself to Him and fully allow His will to be done in my life instead of trying to force certain things that just wouldn't fit.
So many of you guys are talking openly about that. Like Ohio State, almost the whole team talks openly about their relationship with the Lord and stuff. Where does that confidence and comfort come from?
Yeah, well, I think as athletes, you go through so many ups and downs. You have to have something to fall back on, and especially in this world. I mean, you cannot rely on what this world tells you about yourself, especially just because. I mean, this was the world who thought it was a good idea to kill a man who lived a perfect life and then crucify him. So. I mean, you just can't rely on what the world tells you and who you are. But, I mean, it's definitely super cool to see how everybody's talking about their relationship with God. And I see all the stuff that, was going on at Ohio State with Trey and all those guys. Getting to see all that stuff has been super cool. I mean, I saw they hosted, I can't remember what it was, but I saw a bunch of people getting baptized on campus there. And I saw a bunch of students that were out there. I mean, that's just stuff that the game of football has allowed these people and these men to be able to do, which is it's just super cool to see stuff like that, them using their platform that way.
Was there a time in your career or a game, something where it clicked for you that like the outside noise just doesn't matter? Like did something come to mind?
I think it took time more than just a single moment. But, going through my first year here, I was more for sure just, wanting to know what people were saying about me and, what I did that week or whatever it was, and then that season didn't go how I wanted it to, and I realized that something had to change, and I could just feel God telling me, it doesn't matter what these people are saying about you. I know who you are, and you know who you are, so just go rely on what I'm telling you.
Just a quick follow-up, the fact that you wanted to know what people were saying about you early in your career, how much of that was, you've been under a microscope since you're 14 years old, social media, how much of it was that like you wanted to know?
Yeah, well, I think when things are going your way, it can be, it's a stretch for sure, but I mean, it feels good, and it's like it's a desire that can be addicting for people, and I think I fell into that at a younger age, but I'm super glad that that's not who I am anymore.
And how'd you spend the trip up here?
Say that again?
How did you spend the time at the trip up here? What'd you do?
I watched the last episode of Landman on the plane. I downloaded it. It's a great show, by the way. It's a little odd, but I don't know that his wife seems a little bipolar. But I don't know how he handles it. It's a good show overall. I like it. Cooper Norris seems to be coming on the come up with all those mineral rights, so I'm excited to see how that goes.
What did you think of the performance by Jared Jones?
Oh, I thought he did a good job. I was surprised, honestly. He seemed like he knew what he was doing for sure. It was cool.
It's a really important question. You say you pay your mom a salary. If you guys win it all, does mama get a pay raise or?
I don't know. We'll have to talk about that for sure. We'll have a meeting or something. Figure it out. Who knows?
Everybody seems to have an opinion about your future. Where you go from here, NFL. How much of what you were talking about a while ago, coming to that realization last year, is kind of helping you as other people kind of speculating about you?
Yeah, well, I mean, first off, I think I'd be doing a disservice to my teammates about, me even thinking about what's next, because, what's right in front of us isn't over yet. And that's another thing that God has helped me so much through is just being present in every single moment that I'm in and, not looking too far ahead because I'll trip on what's right in front of me. So, again, that's too selfish of thinking for me to even be thinking about what's next for me.
But are you at least aware that there's a lot of speculation out there that people are going to throw huge numbers at you to go in the portal after the season and that kind of stuff?
I mean, right now I'm just not worried about all that stuff. I mean, people can say all they want to say, but I'm just focused on Friday at this point in time.
Quinn, when's the last time you remember being
Nervous? I mean, I still get nervous for sure, but I just don't think. I think I do a good job of just understanding that moment, whatever moment it is that I'm nervous about, it doesn't define who I am as a person, and it doesn't define who I am in God's eyes. And understanding and knowing that has just kind of put like this force field of peace around me that I think allows me to be able to be calm in certain situations, but it doesn't. I still get nervous.
What makes you nervous?
I mean, I just love the game so much, and if you don't get nervous or a little bit of butterflies, I don't think you have that same love. I mean, I've got butterflies since going into football games since I was 5-6 years old. So I don't want that feeling to ever disappear or go away, because then I'll know I just football just doesn't mean as much as it did to me back then, and I want it to always mean that much to me.
Back then, were you also really steady and calm like you are now?
I've been told, but I don't know. I think so.
Number 2 on Ohio State, Caleb Downs. Does he make you nervous?
He's been an Ohio State guy.
Well, like government. Yeah.
I mean, he's a great player for sure. We played against him at Alabama, and he's a super instinctual guy, and I think they do a really good job of allowing him to play off of instincts. And he's always. It seems to be that he's most of the time in the right spot for sure.
Yeah, I've always said
you have to play for 2 of the bigger college programs in the nation. Giant state schools, big budgets, big departments. At the end of it, is there really that much difference between the 2?
It's just hard to say because I was only at Ohio State for a semester, so I just didn't get to experience that, like, the off season and how all that stuff went. But I mean, to be 2 of the top programs for the past, since college football has started, it seems like, I mean, you got to have some similarities about you for sure.
Did you notice people staring at you hard when you first showed up at Ohio State? You understand what I'm saying? When you were one of the most celebrated guys to ever walk in there and stuff. Could you feel the attention?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I could just, feel, everybody was excited that I think, I think that whole recruiting class that they got, and, me being a part of it.
But also the way you came in. I mean,
Yeah, it was definitely
foregoing your senior year in high school and stuff. It doesn't happen a whole lot. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different than what most people do for sure, going in the middle of fall camp and just trying to find my way. And it was special because it taught me who I was. And I had to grow up real fast. Leaving the parents' house a year early, and going to live pretty much on my own. It was. I just had to grow up fast for sure, mature fast.
Quinn, how would you describe playing quarterback at the University of Texas?
It's the best thing in the world. Not a whole lot of people get to say that, and I don't want to take for granted any day, any moment that I get. I'm gifted to be able to play quarterback at the University of Texas.
Considering how much football y'all play, it's 3 games in the playoffs, how are you physically and mentally feeling, and how's the team feel as far as preparing for this game against Ohio State?
Yeah, I mean, we feel great. No one's 100%, but that goes for any team. Especially this deep in the playoffs and this deep in the season. We're as close to 100% as we can be, but it's pretty much impossible to be 100% fresh. But I mean, we're all we're all ready and we're all excited for the opportunity in front of us, for sure.
What's different about Ohio State's defense than anybody who played?
Well, I just think that they got a lot of talent in every spot. I mean, they got great defensive tackles, great edge rushers, good linebacker crew, good safeties, good corners. I mean, they just don't have a spot that, isn't really good and it's solid, which is hard to do, but they did it.
You still keep in touch with some folks?
Every now and then, for sure. Yes, sir.
Well, you actually get to go.
Right. He's got a leaky valve.
Speaking at the right time. They made a way obviously.
Dallas guys. Friends and I mean family or mainly on the sticks?
Family, friends. I got a Maltese. We're all good with that.
Anthony, which duo of running backs that you guys have played this year reminds you the most of Travion Henderson and Quintrevion Wisner?
That's a good question. Let me think a little bit. Man, I don't think none. I mean, they're both two elite backs. They're both, of course, they're RB1, so we have to treat them like that. And I think they're one of the best groups that we played the whole season.
You guys are one of the few teams in the nation that have a pair of running backs that have as many yards as Ohio State does. What kind of challenge does that pose? Because you go against those guys in practice.
Yeah.
So you see this all the time. What kind of challenge does that pose when they can just, it's not just RB1 and RB2. It's two guys who could be RB1 in most programs in the country.
Oh, it's pretty cool. I mean, playing against elite guys like that. I mean, when one come in, you don't really have to worry about stuff being different because they both play the same style. So at a way, it's kind of helps us out a little bit because we don't have to think about different stuff they do and different backs in. They're both the RB1, so it's gonna be an honor and it's gonna be pretty cool playing against them.
Watching your defensive line, they feel like they can just sort of take over a game all by themselves. I mean, part of the Arizona State game, it just felt like their quarterback was running for his life. They couldn't run the ball. What is that like as a linebacker to be behind guys like that who can just? Do they open things up for you? Do they just stand back and watch and just go, holy? Like what is that like playing behind a line like that?
It's pretty cool playing against with an elite D line because it kind of opens up for stuff from some of the TFL game and some of the sacks for us. So it's pretty cool playing behind the elite D line.
And Jahdae, obviously, Thorpe Award winner.
Yeah.
He's in for potential. I don't know how often he's going to be going up against Jeremiah Smith, but those two guys, that feels like that is just going to be box office whenever those two guys are lined up against each other.
It's going to be cool. I mean, I'm going to be watching the matchup, of course, after the game and all that, but it's pretty cool seeing two elite players go at it, so it's going to be pretty fun watching that.
Seeing what's happened at A&M since you made your decision and what's happened.
Who's pulling what strings?
Look at the last two games. I mean, where do you feel like Jeremiah Smith has kind of taken his game to a different level? Why do you think he's had a little bit more success?
Speculating, but just experience, more reps, more opportunities. They got good coaches that coach them up and just executing better, and when players start gaining more trust from the coaches, they get more opportunities. I guess.
What kind of help is a player like Jahdae when trying to plan for a wide receiver core like Ohio State?
Say that again?
What kind of help is a player like Barron when trying to plan for a receiving core like this?
He's an older guy that has played a lot of football. And, he's a competitor, and so he knows how good these guys are, and he wants to compete against the best.
What do you have to tell your guys about Jeremiah? I mean, obviously they have a lot of different weapons and a lot of different ways they can score points, but because he is such a special talent, leading into this game, what do you have to tell your guys about him? Not that they don't know about him, but playing against him is different.
They watch the tape. They see how good he is. There's nothing special that we're telling them other than play with good technique, good eyes, and be physical. There's nothing. We just know he's a really good player, but whether it's a good player or not a good player, he grabs your attention. I guess that'd be the one thing that stands out when you're playing good people. You got to bring your A game. So yeah, there's nothing special.
Does he remind you of anybody that you've played in your career?
He had some good receivers when I was at Washington. He's 6'4", 215. Not really.
Is he a Sunday player as a freshman?
I would think so. Yeah, big, strong, fast. He's only going to get more polished as a route runner. And he's 18 years old, so he's only going to get stronger and faster as he keeps maturing. Right? He's a special athlete for sure.
You guys have to play them next year too.
That's right. We're used to it. We played Washington back to back. I did it at Boise State too. Played Sark in the bowl game, and then opened up with them at Washington the next year.
How difficult is Steve to go against in practice or even in past games? As a
he poses a lot of challenge because of all the shifts, motions. When we're going against them, usually it's we're installing. So we're running our defense and our offense. So we have good plays. They have good plays. When we get into scrimmage-like situations, that's when you see the game planning take effect. Where they're trying to attack us based off of what we're doing. But yeah, it's always been a challenge trying to defend his offense.
When you were going against his offenses before and looking at the motion and all the eye candy, what did you tell your guys about that?
Well, it's all about making sure when it comes to the shifts and motions, it's making sure we're matching the numbers, we're getting in the proper alignments, we got the proper leverage. That's the back end and the linebackers. Any offense, the shifts and motions are trying to gain leverage, trying to gain numbers advantages, and get backers, safeties out of position to run the ball or create confusion. Because anytime someone moves on offense, based off what kind of call you got, there's a lot of communication that now has to happen. So you got not only the alignment, it's got to be right, the communication's got to be on point, so everybody's on the same page. So that's the challenge, making sure everybody's on the same page.
I know you've probably gotten asked a lot of questions about Jeremiah Smith, but one of the things that seems to jump out about Ohio State is it's not just Jeremiah Smith. They've got three receivers who feel like they probably stress, CB2 and CB3 in a way that a lot of other teams can't as well. Have you seen teams that you think are similar in terms of wide receiver depth that can do some of the things that Ohio State can in terms of stressing you?
Not this year, no. Because they got 4, 2, and 17 are all really good wide receivers. And then 88's a good tight end. It's a good challenge.
And they've got two running backs, similar to what Texas has in terms of two running backs who are both probably guys who would be RB1 at a lot of schools. What kind of challenge is that in terms of keeping your defense fresh and having to go up against, hey, you might have played 40 snaps, 50 snaps, maybe the running back's only been in there for 15 when you're third, fourth quarter.
We got to do a good job of substituting, so we're keeping our guys' rep counts down. But anytime teams have depth. That's what you're striving for. So you can rotate the guys in and out and keep guys fresh.
Have you guys been cognizant of the, hey, this might be a 15, 16, 17 game season kind of all year in terms of were you rotating week 3, week 4, week 5, rotating guys more with an eye on, hey, you might be playing in late January?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's twofold. You want guys to have roles, right? So everybody's contributing. But then we want to try and pay attention to the wear and tear on the treads of the tires of your guys. It's more so doing the week of practice, paying attention to that. But there's a little bit of that going on. It's more the flow of the games where you're trying to make sure you got guys got gas left in the tank for the fourth quarter.
Say, it can be a plus for some, negative for some people.
I mean, it's another thing. Caleb Downs, you know of him, right? I mean, if you watched him play at all, what just jumps out to you as a connoisseur of defensive back play, et cetera?
That's a physical savvy cat. I know he loves contact. He don't shy away from contact. And as a football player, you love to see people that just go out there just trying to dominate. And he's a hungry kid. I've seen interviews of him, Nick Saban talking about him, highly of him. And then Barron, he knows him. He told me about him like that. But I mean, that's a hard-working kid from what I've seen. So I mean, I know he's going to continue to do a lot of great things and things like that. And then I've seen a few videos of his dad, and I know they're into the Word of God, so that's amazing on their part.
Real quick, do you look forward to a matchup with a Jeremiah Smith? You understand what I'm saying? I mean, that's kind of why you play a game is for something like this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for the opportunity, again, just to play football, I look forward to that every single day. But the matchup to go against an amazing team and amazing receivers and an amazing receiver like yourself, that's a blessing. And just to have the opportunity, got to go out there and have fun.
Everybody talks about the physical toll a long season takes, but what about like the mental and emotional toll? Just kind of constantly having to answer the bell, each game getting bigger and bigger as you go.
I think just kind of buying in and being, I say it all the time, can you be committed to the process of what you're doing without emotionally being attached to the results of what you're doing? So basically, like when everything kind of seemed crazy or it seemed hard, just continue to work. Don't look too far down the road. Don't look at the end goal. Just look at today. Like, I'm not worried about tomorrow. I'm worried about your question. That was an amazing question. See what I'm saying? So I try to tell myself, and I try to tell the reporter group when we talk to them. I try to give them something to gasp on or to hear some positive things that I say, and I tell them a lot. Can I be committed to the process of what you're doing without emotionally being attached to the results?
Speaking of that process, Coach Flint said one of the best things y'all do is y'all prepared week 2 the same as week 8, as the Peach Bowl. How do you kind of do that every week and keep that consistency, and how important is that as a football team?
Just being engaged with the coach that we have and then trust to start to play. Coach Sark has been in situations like this in the playoffs a lot of times, so just not being a know-it-all, as a player for one, and then allowing yourself to be coached and allowing yourself to take the back seat from a player and to let Coach Sark take us to the promised land. So I think that's what helps.
I know you hear Coach say those things, but when did you start to lead it? Right? Like, when did you see it come to fruition, like his plan?
Slowly, for myself, when he opened up to us during the coaching Wednesday, and he told us about his story and things like that. And from that moment, I was like, okay, bet. He just opened up about his whole life, the adversity he went through, the ups and downs. And for somebody that can do that, that's crazy. But for somebody that can do that, it allows you to open up yourself and trust them So I think ultimately that's the day I knew. I was like, it's gonna be good for me. So.
What was the biggest change? Last year, y'all had fantastic run defense. Yeah, fantastic run defense. Your pass defense struggled at times. This year, putting it all together, run defense, pass defense, everything's fantastic. What was the change between last year and this year? What was the adjustment? Was it personnel? Was it scheme? Was it just knowledge in the scheme? So you got better.
Kind of had to do a lot of it. It's like a pie. You need all those percentages to kind of connect. And I think we just connected a lot of those pieces and continue to still try to connect all those pieces to just continue to grow with those pieces. But, PK is just becoming a genius every single day, allowing us to put us in position. But, again, it's never been the coach's fault if we're out of order and not making plays. They bust their ASS off to put us in position, and they do countless hours for us to put us in the best position we can be to be successful. So I think it just all hats off to PK, and for us to be at this point where we are today, just kind of putting all the pieces together is a byproduct of the level of trust that we have for his plan, and then believing his plan, and then going back as a team and as a player-led team to ultimately just push his plan to the younger guys and for the older guys to coach the plan and to actually buy into the plan. So I think us buying into PK's plan, that's what's been the best. And over the years, you could just see people buy into the plan, but you have, I don't know, we can just say like when you have more than 30 guys buy into the plan, to PK's defensive plan, it's a big plus for us. So I think that's what matters.
Does that help? You talked about being able to go through and not be emotionally connected to the result. Okay, does that kind of help you when you're out there on the field? You got to put that in practice because hey, you give up a big play, that's okay. Go to the next one, stay in your process, keep doing what you're supposed to be doing, and like you said, keep trusting your coach to get you in the right call.
It has to do with a lot of things, but questions kind of everywhere. But I would say that you can't. I think if you live in the moment of something that just happened to you, you won't be able to adapt and go on to the next challenge. It's kind of like if I'm stuck on one play and then let's go to the next play. So just kind of just being out there and play free. And then it takes me back to another question I had earlier, just putting my trust in God. Things are always not going to go your way, but you just got to keep going. And ultimately, when you do that, you can play free. So.
All right, we got to take Jahdae. We're done with you. They said they had enough. No, you're all good. No worries.
Hey, was right behind me. He said the best thing about you is your focus.